Shawty wanna use me, yeah. Run it up, I'm mobbing. None of y'all niggas, they poppin'. Yeah, I know you do this often. I'm running out of options. I'm okay, I'm fine. I'ma swallow all my pride. Won't be nothing but a side piece. Catching feelings with my pipe dream. Oh no. Piece of me, piece of my, took some time. I'm just reaping what I sow, so for sure. But no, that's just for me and my boss. Be secure, 4x4, G6 sleep off on my hands. I'm no friend, pay for keys, can't pay for taking me. In the back when the windows tint. Yeah, cause I know tonight. Yeah, I know tonight. Tryna come take on me. And my 40 they date on me. They ain't even thought this far. This ain't never crossed me. Just like I know. Made room for you. You and me, I forgot. You had no place to trust. Just like you told. Just like we rolled. Now we would barely trust. Now there's no saving us. Piece of me, piece of my, took some time. I'm just reaping what I sow, so for sure. But no, that's just for me and my boss. Be secure, 4x4, G6 sleep up on my hands. I'm no friend, pay for keys, can't pay for time. Is it me or no? 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 They don't even know me. Now they feeling different when the money come fast. Like a lazy low-key. Shawty keep it down, I'ma be right back. I don't switch modes, yeah. Only switch names in sports, that's fact. I ain't pay notice. You know that won't play like me. Something that your money won't reach. Then she gave no love for me. Oh, yeah. You know that won't play like me. Something that your money won't reach. Then she moves so sexually. Is it me or no? 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 Gotta keep them pockets greased up, can't slip. Gotta get my mama's new whip, new crib. Tell your shawty listen from the city, from the sticks. And no matter where I throw it, yeah, she know it's gon' stick. Shawty isn't me, no babe. Shawty isn't me, no, yeah. Is it me or no? Is it me or no?
Good morning, Discord. Good morning, YouTube. Okay, let's see what we got in the pre-market. Slight drop, picking back up. Let's see what happens when we get to this key level right here.
Heard about it, let me get it on. And
So we have Nvidia that has earnings today. Nvidia is the type of company that has the ability to move the market. So whenever Mag 7, the Magnificent 7, top 7 tech companies have movement, it moves the entire market. So we got to keep an eye out for that. Let's see if we take a zoom out. Sorry about that. All right, let's zoom out for a second. Get a big picture. So I want to see if we get above 593.36 and make this some type of support, or if we get below 590.85 and make this resistance, right? So we break it, make it resistance. Let's see if that happens. One of the two. You see there's a lot of liquidity right here built up in the pre-market. We see we got some bearish volume coming in. Well, we gotta let the candle finish. We gotta let this 5-minute candle finish. But it looks like a lot of bearish volume coming in. Let's see if this magenta holds up or if we need to adjust it. So give it some time. Choppy candles in the morning. We got no movement. We want to see what happens at 592.08. We want to see what happens at this key level. Let's see if we make it some type of support, bounce off. Premiums are mild, a bit mild, not too expensive premiums. So if you notice, when the price was going down all that time, when we had that big dump in maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, the premiums were crazy high. It was like $400 or $500 for a contract, something like that. Now they're around what? Let's see. 180, 150, something like that. All right. If we do see any downside, let's wait for this cup to close. if there is any downside, right? So our entry might be somewhere around 591.05. If we get any continuation, I don't like this slow grind like this, but might be a longer term, something like that, if we're slow grinding. And I haven't verified really no algorithm yet. We're just throwing shots in the dark with this magenta right now. So what we want to do is see some type of movement so we can gauge. So as you see, there's plenty of liquidity built up in between here. So if it does break one side or the other, we want to wait for the retest, look for some retracement, and then maybe the entry would be on the long. And if it just shoots up out of here, then it shoots up. Nothing you can do about it, unless you want to take that risk. It's up to you. But I'd rather wait for the retracement just to see if the market has actually absorbed all of it. Right? I want to see the break, the retest, and the reject. You see all that bearish volume turn into bullish? That's why I said I wanted to wait for the candle to close. It's always good to wait for the candles to close, because the wicks, they'll throw you off. They can give you an idea, but the wicks can throw you off. For example, let's say we're waiting for the break of magenta, and then you see a strong candle coming in. Let's say a strong bearish candle coming in, and then at the last second it wicks and they push it back up. It's always best to wait for it to close. And if that's not, and if you're not comfortable with that either, then you wait for the retest and reject. All right. So let's see if we're forming a head here. We'd like it to break a little bit outside the magenta, just a little bit outside to form that head. Let's see if we get something like that. So your safety on the puts are going to be below 591.05, right? You want to see the cup close like that. And then, so when you get to this area here, because basically you're in no man's land right now. If you didn't already take a put here, you're in you're in no man's land right here. So you can't trade here, right? So because you're looking for some type of formation, some type of structure. So if you're here and you're like, oh, okay, I think it's gonna go down even further, you're better off just waiting for this, right? That's the ideal setup. That's the safety. That's what it looks like. We could just grind up like we did yesterday. Yesterday was, I'd say it was difficult to trade yesterday because it was just a slow grind up. And then, you know, everyone thinks, okay, here's the top. Everyone's always trying to call the top because you want to get the best entry on the put, right? You're always trying to call the top, and that's not a good practice. I've been victim of trying to call the top or the bottom so many times, and the market just ended up just grinding in a direction, and then a little pullback and I'll get in, and then it'll go right back into the direction it was grinding. So you wait for the confirmations. Yeah, let's check out the 30-minute. Yeah, I'd like to see 593, 36 form some type of support right here. Remember, that'd be the ideal setup. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But we definitely got a strong uptrend, which continued from 5:30 this morning. Strong uptrend.
I learned to tank, I learned to float, look, I learned some things. And taught a nigga how to earn your trust, I'm not concerned with them, I know you hurt some things. Look, I ain't perfect, I'm hurting, babe, that make two of us the way you purchase things. The service level not serving us, I gotta let you in so you interpret things the way I meant, and may I vent. Based off the things you post online, I can't help but think you gotta stay off that. Embrace the fact I won't brace myself for no downfall, no they pray on that. If loving you will make me crazy, girl, then giving up on you will make a psychopath. I'm on my way, I wait out back,
Now remember, if you're waiting for the safety, wait for somewhere down here. If you're a little bit risky, here's the risk factor, right? Breaking magenta is probably the most risk, because this is our buying channel, and then you're hoping that this head and shoulders plays out, right? That's what you're hoping for. And in order for that to happen, you'd want to see something like that. Because you got to remember, everything goes off of price levels, not my drawing. It goes off the price. So your best bet, just be patient. Just be patient. Because we don't always have to be in a trade. That's not a thing. Always having to be in a trade? No. Just because the price is moving in somewhere doesn't mean you should always be in a trade. That's just not how it works. Okay. All right. Now let's see if we get maybe a green candle after this one to retest this level. That'd be nice.
She be feeling type of words. I don't need nobody for the day. I just need somebody for the night. Been there and I never been the same. Been there but I'm not the one to blame. I just need somebody for the night. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't need you no more.
All right, let's see if we get a bounce here.
Catching feelings with my pipe dream mode.
And if you remember, I was saying, let's see if this candle right here formed a head. You got to rewind the tape. This candle is the only reason why I put a head up here. All right, let's see what we got. Ideally, we'd like to see some type of bounce right here. So if you took that initial cup that I drew a long time ago, you made money. And we knew where the bounce was going to come in. Yeah, trading doesn't have to be hard if you just stick to your rules. That's all you got to do. Stick to your rules, you'll be fine. Now let's see if magenta is going to be the play for the day. You know, if we get back above 592.08, then that means this inverse cup and handle is invalid, right? If we get back above this, that means if we get back above 592.08, this is invalid. We knew the bounce was coming right here. We planned this a long time ago. All a part of the plan. Now let's see if we break below 591.05. And remember, it may not cascade just like this where they just stack on top of each other, easy trade. You might have some retracement inside of another candle, so got to be a little bit patient with this type of stuff. I'm going to clean up the chart just a bit. So technically, the cup and handle played out, right? Technically, it played out, so we should be looking for our next entry or our next play, because that was that move. That's it right there. Now let's see if we get continuation into it. And remember, it's only invalid if we get above this 592.08. We gotta wait for another magenta to form. I don't think it formed yet. I'm not sure. A little bit more movement, a little bit more. I'd be happy if it gives a little bit more. Now, if you took the break of 590.105, you gotta wait for retracement, right? You gotta be able to survive the retracement, or if you had your stop tight, you probably would have got stopped out by now. Because after this cup and handle, so what we had this, and this. Now you have to, now that this played out, now you got to be able to survive like that motion. Or no, not this one. Hold on, sorry. You're just gonna have to survive. You have to survive a little bit. So if you want to wait for the pullback and then the rejection, not a bad idea either. But this cup and handle played out. How did it play out? Because look, this candle right here, that means they got all their profit from all these calls that went this way. They got all their profit here. So now you gotta wait for the next play to set up. The next play is gonna look like continuation. Okay, I'm gonna repurpose this blue just so I don't have to keep going through a whole bunch of. I'm gonna repurpose the blue. Give me a second. Okay. I think now we formed the magenta. Hopefully we stay under 591.05. But, you know, technically this cup and handle, it played out, right? So now we gotta look for the next setup. What does the next setup look like? Either continuation, like that, or let's see. One of the two. This was kind of thin structure here. I would have liked to see they build a little bit more for continuation, a little bit more building in here, but it is what it is. We're still inside this purple.
Well, I think that you forgot, but what you saw in me. Caught a love, but please don't be the one who got away. Just the woman talking when I come and humming. Hate the fact that we ain't spoken in some weeks. Blood on hands, but we just rinse it and repeat. Let's speak a language that we both know how to read. See, baby, all the time, come on, come on, come on.
So in the 5 minute, we broke this purple here, which is probably gonna make another one.
Look, I ain't perfect, I'm hurting, babe. That make two of us the way you purchase things. The surface level not serving us. I gotta let you in so you interpret things the way I meant. And may I vent based off the things you post online. I can't help but think you gotta stay off that. Embrace the fact I won't brace myself for no downfall. I know they pray on that. If loving you will make me crazy, girl, then giving up on you will make a psychopath. I'm on my way, I wait out back.
Okay, we never closed outside of this purple here yet, so right, because that wick, so it never closed outside the purple. Because this is what I was telling you. If you take this, the break of 591.05, you're gonna have to expect some of this, right? I don't know if rewind the tape. I told you if it does break, you gotta survive some of this stuff right here. So we're in the downtrend. We want to look for our short entries, our put entries. We don't want to fight the trend. If you took this break in magenta, you're gonna have to think about cutting chalks maybe. Still didn't close outside of this purple yet. So I think it might be calls on break of green. Okay, there it is. Easy money. Easy money. There it is. Remember, I told you, you gotta survive. You gotta survive some of this stuff. Now you can at least. So if you got in up here, now you can start moving your stop. Now you're in profit. Now you're in profit. And then if we do break green on the call side, we want to see like that. If that happens, right? You want to see it retest and reject. Similar to how I said on this side, we want to see it retest and reject. Same concept. Same concept. And now you see the type of patience you need to have. And if you remember, I said that basically if you would have taken any one of these, any put from here to here, the play wouldn't end until it's invalid when it gets above 592.08. I don't know if you remember, I said that since this morning. That's when it's invalid, when it gets up here. So this was the call out, or hold on. This was the call out. Now you're waiting for your next setup, if you're not already in this play. So the flexion point would have been your best bet. The flexion point looks like this. This right here is a flexion point. That's your least amount of risk, right? That's your least amount of risk, because if it went up against you, you can stop out. Your stop's right here. You stop out quick, because you know that this cup and handle isn't playing out. You know that the structure is not going to be the cup and handle. But once you, and again, it's not where I draw the drawing, it's the level at which it's drawn, the price level where it's drawn. But this cup and handle, absolutely amazing. This inverse cup and handle, absolutely amazing. And if you took the break of 590.05 with the whichever one you did, it's impossible to lose, right? You unless you got stopped out on one of these, then that's the patience you need to learn. All right, now let's see the next play. Oh, does this thing want to keep? Yeah, we're in a downtrend. We are definitely in a downtrend. So we're gonna be in the uptrend when we get above 592.08, above this level right here. That's when the trend's gonna start to reverse. Other than that, I did my job for today. I did my job. Look at the money we printed. Look at the money we printed. And I told you, if you get in on this break, you're going to have to survive this. You have to survive this. You see how it never broke back above 591.05? Look at this money. Every day. Look at the money we printed. All right. I'm not a big fan of this. I probably need to adjust this purple just a bit. Okay, there we go. Look at the money we printed. A little bit of patience. And I told you that if you want to be a little more comfortable after this big move, you want to wait for continuation. Continuation looks like that. This is thin structure, I'll agree. This was thin. I would have liked it to be a little bit higher. However, it never got out of the purple. Or I said, you know, we knew to expect this jiggle in here. We knew that was going to happen. So here's the thing. You have to understand. This is what you need to understand and what gives you confidence to hold something longer, right? When the structure does play out, exactly. When it does play out, you have to know that all of these calls got stopped out, which is the only reason we got the strength to go down. So the price pretty much has no choice because all these stops have been triggered. Everyone who was buying calls, they all got triggered. So you have to know or trust the process that whenever this happens, especially you get the bounce exactly where I said it was going to bounce and the continuation down, you have to just trust the process that it may take some time, but the price has to, it doesn't have to, but you have a way higher probability of being successful on a trade when you follow when the structure plays out exactly as I mean, it's you can't get any better. It's I don't know who's doing it better, but we're still in the purple. And if you want to go in on break a green, again, we want to see it do something like that. But we're in the downtrend, right? So you should be looking for put entries anyway. You don't want to fight the trend. Still in this purple. You're still in the purple. So if you took 591.05, your trail. This is plenty of money. This is good money. Almost a full point. Almost a full point. Let's look at our 30-minute. Look at the money we are printing. We still have not closed outside of this purple. Let's go. Look at this money. Easy money today. Very, very easy today. Oh my goodness. Look at what. Oh, goodness gracious. It's actually too easy. Can you believe this is legal? This is legal. Legal gambling. It's not even gambling. It's not gambling if you just wait for the structure to play out. You know what has to happen. And if it doesn't, then oh well, you don't take the trade. You save your money. We're not here to waste money. We wait for our setups to play out. And if it doesn't work, oh well. You know you can't be wrong twice in a row. It just can't happen because we know what the next setup looks like. So for example, let's say this were to decide to turn around right here. You have your shoulder, your head, and your other shoulder. If you want to wait for breaker green, you see how that works? How it breaks the green. You want to wait for confirmation for your other shoulder to form. This is going to be your support now. Very simple. So you can't be wrong twice in a row. All right, so I'm probably gonna stop out here. I shouldn't, but I'll stop out. I stopped out. Okay, that was a good trade. So I got in somewhere over here. I got in because I thought this was gonna. I thought it was gonna dump from here, but it didn't. So I just had to hold and hold and hold and wait. And once I saw that it was rejecting underneath, that's when I knew I had to hold. So I got in over here, somewhere over here. I think at 9:55, and I stopped out. No big deal. Now I'll wait for the next setup. And if it didn't work, my stop loss was right here at this flexion. So if I lost from here to here, oh well, 20-30 bucks for one contract. That's it. That's just how I risk it. Oh well, didn't work out. Now let's see if we break out of this green. That was a good trade. Excellent trade. Excellent trade. I knew we had to survive this. You just gotta survive. You put your stop and you wait for it to go in your direction. You have the reason why you can have confidence to wait for it to go in your direction is because you know all of these calls got stopped out. This retracement was confirmation that it was heading down. That's why we wait for the setup. We wait for the structure. This is why. You just got to be patient, and you can't let one or two candles in the opposite color scare you out. Well, so sometimes the lower delta is fine, right? Lower delta lowers your risk. Now you're not going to make as much, but your lower delta lowers your risk. So there's nothing wrong with that. That's a part of your delta is also a part of your risk management. You don't always have to take the at the money delta. You know, let's say it's at the end of the day and theta's starting to eat away your contract, then yeah, you're going to want a high delta to make sure you gain the money. So it's all a part of your risk management, because there's nothing that says you couldn't take a low delta here and ride it out for the rest of the day and win. Because like yesterday, we saw it grind up all day. You could have took a low delta and had very little risk. You could have took let's say a $50 contract yesterday, $70 contract, and rode it all day. You would have been sitting pretty. Also, I'd like to give a shout out to Alibaba, my favorite Mediterranean restaurant, in Escondido. If you're in Escondido, if you're in San Diego, Escondido, I highly recommend Alibaba. The best food ever. Simply, look, you see why we wait until the break of green? Do you see why we wait till green? This is why. This is why. We don't just let one or two candles say, oh, okay. No, no, no. It's not just because I'm drawing something on the screen. There's rules. There's structure here. And that doesn't mean that this can't happen right here. That doesn't mean it can't happen right here. And this is just a fake out. But that's why we wait for... Now we have to wait until we know that all of these puts have been stopped out. And then we get the confirmation on the retracement. It's all... You'll learn. Don't worry. You will learn. That's why we have our rules. That's why we didn't go in just because we saw three candles and then this wick. Oh, maybe. No, 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 no. Because we're still in this green. Oh man, I got stopped out now. That's fine. That's fine. So you can't have FOMO right at this point because there's no trade here, right? You're in the middle of the water. There's no trade. If you didn't get in, you know, when I gave the flexion point, when I gave you the key level to buy the puts, you know, if you didn't get in over here, it's too late now. And you can't be sitting there kicking yourself like, oh man, look what I could have done. Don't worry about what coulda. Coulda doesn't put gas in the car. You just wait for the setup. You follow the strategy. You put your stops appropriately. You listen to the words that I'm saying, because I definitely told you you're gonna have to survive in here. You just gotta survive this. You had to know that the downward motion was coming because all of these calls got stopped out. They all got stopped out. Now, because it was a cup and handle, that's why you had to do this. If it was a head and shoulders, you wouldn't have to. It would be less choppy on the way. And again, we don't always have to be in a trade. You should be waiting for the proper setup. You wait for the thing that looks good. This early cup and handle, that was easy. That was an easy trade. Now you understand that, oh, okay, with proper structure, with the proper setup, you can have more confidence. And now you know you can wait. Now you can be patient. You got to survive all of this type of stuff. And you can't move your stop. You know, you figure out where your stop should be along, which we figured the purple. And then if you're a real gangster, then you trail along the green. because I did make this green. We've had the green on for quite a while, so I got out on purple, so whatever. Probably somewhere. I think I got out on this candle right here. I'm just gonna clean up the chart just a bit. We could have just a slow grind down today. Just like yesterday, slow grind up. And another good lesson. Here's another good lesson I want everyone to pay attention to. So when the market opens, now it's not always going to be like this, but for the majority of the time, right? A high majority of the time, in order for you to go down, you got to go up first. You got to go up first. That's just how it is. Why? Because you need to stop out everybody. So look what happened yesterday. Yesterday, in order to go up, what we do? We went down first. We went down before we went up because we have to grab liquidity from somewhere. Liquidity had to be grabbed from somewhere. Liquidity is what gives you the motion. So we grabbed this liquidity here. We grabbed this liquidity here, which was why I was very confident when I said, let's see if this is the head forming. I didn't think that this was a momentum candle. Now, once that I think this is a momentum candle, that's why I drew that head up here. I was expecting maybe one more candle in the up, another green candle. I was expecting another green candle. I wanted it to break outside of this magenta, but I knew this was a head forming. And then once I saw this, I was like, okay, this is officially the head. Once I saw this and this one, now I know I have a head forming right here. And then we're just recapping. The setup for the was that. So because we broke straight through, now you know this is invalid. So you're not waiting for this setup anymore. Now what setup should you be waiting for? For this one, right? So if you didn't take the flexion point, which I recommend the flexion points, if you didn't take the flexion point, then your other option was 591.05. If you didn't take and then I told you, if you take 591.05, let's say you got in on the break of this magenta, you had to hold and let all this chop, because we knew it was going to be choppy. How do we know that? Because I drew this on here, remember? I drew that on there. I said we want to have a retest and reject. Then the retest reject, that doesn't mean it's going to be one candle. It could take a little bit of chop, right? Because people are closing positions, the algorithms are firing off and starting to work now, and that's just how it is. So you got to exercise a little bit of patience. I wish I was a little more patient. Nah, I'm fine. I got good money. I'm probably not going to trade anymore today. Why? Because I got my money. I got my profit. Now, if I keep trading and trying to make more, it's just going to ruin your account. It's going to ruin your account. How do I know? Because I've been there. I've done it. And there's still times when I gamble. When I gamble, I'm like, I knew I shouldn't have done it. And then I always look back and I'm like, oh, I didn't follow my own strategy, my own rules. I do it sometimes still. Well, not ruin the account, but you know what I mean? Take bad trades because I'm impatient or because the market's grinding. And that grinding, as soon as you see a little motion the other way, you think, oh, okay, this is going to be the big dump. And then it fakes you out. Instead of me waiting for my proper setup. And this doesn't mean that at some point we don't, that doesn't mean we're not forming a shoulder here, maybe a head here, and another shoulder, just to do this. We could do that later on, right? It's gonna take hours and hours though. So if you don't have that type of patience, you know, hours to sit there and wait for your play to play out, then, you know, it's nothing you can do. Now, if you just want to scalp and get in and out, okay, that's fine. That's fine too. But when you're scalping, you got to realize, you know, you can't let stuff like this chop mess you up. Still firmly in this green. I'm glad I made this green. I was trying to like force it, but then finally like I saw it. I'm glad I made this green. All right, we're coming up to 589.47. Let's see what we got. Let's see what we got.
I don't need nobody for the day. I just need somebody for the night. Been there and I never been the same. Been there but I'm not the one to blame. I just need somebody for the night. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't need you no more. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't really feel no more. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't really care no more. Shawty wanna use me up. Yeah. Hey, run it up, I'm mobbing. Hey, none of y'all niggas they poppin'. Hey, yeah, I know you do this often. Hey, I'm running out of options. I'm okay, I'm fine. Hey, I'ma swallow all my pride. Hey, won't be nothing but a side piece. Oh, catching feelings with my pipe dream. Oh no.
And we knew exactly where we're gonna meet the support, right? We knew exactly we're gonna meet some pushback right here. How do we know that? Because there's a key level right here. You notice how at the key levels it's jittery. We knew there was going to be a bounce here. We already knew that. We knew there was going to be a bounce here. This is too easy. This is actually too easy. Now let's see if we form another magenta. Alright, so the next setup would be, let's see. I like to see the price come back up here, and then we get something like that. If there's going to be more down. We knew there was going to be a bounce here. Too easy. Easy money. Oh, sorry, I didn't draw that, but sorry, I knew there was going to be a bounce here. I'll pay more attention, sorry. Actually, I think I did say that the next target should be 589.47. Very simple.
Gotta keep them pockets greased up, can't slip. Gotta get my mama's new whip, new crib. Tell your shawty listen from the city, from the sticks. And no matter where I throw it, yeah, she know it's gon' stick. Shawty isn't me, no babe. Shawty isn't me, no, yeah. Isn't me, isn't me, or no. Isn't me, or no.
Now for any up, because we've had such a big, because the trend, you know, we're in a downtrend. There's no reason to go up. There's no reason to buy calls until we do this. We got to get at least above 591.05. We need to make this support. You see how this became resistance? The price couldn't break through, it became resistance. We need to make this support on the other side. Now if you're looking for a put entry, ideally we like to see something like that. That's the ideal. If we see something just like that. So preferably staying inside the green. That'll be like a short-term, quick scalp setup.
Straight back to the crib, switch cars, I'm right back. Left, and he knows that he can't. I didn't go really left, no, when I move way to the left, yeah. Shawty won't slide, try to know me. I can never get it too close, me. Cause she heard I got it on me, yeah. Couldn't pull it up like me, shit. Now she tryna load up my phone, shit, I'm in the booth going ghost, nah.
As you can see, we're firmly in this green. I'm glad I caught this green. We caught it like over here pretty much. Caught it at like 10:05-ish. Yeah. Worked out very well. This green has worked out very well.
I can never get it too close, cause she heard I got it on me. Couldn't pull it up like me. Shit, now she tryna let my phone. Shit, I'm in the booth going ghost. And it's heard I got it on me. Then I hear I got it on me.
Now if we break out of this green, if we break out of the green, you want to see it reject off the green like that. But again, we don't want to fight the trend. So your safety, your safe bet is going to, at minimum, wait for up till we get above 591.05. At minimum, you want to wait till you get above 591.05 for calls. You know, if it shoots up right now, it shoots up. I'm here to tell you, I don't want to risk your money. I don't want you to risk your money. I'm telling you what the safety is. And when I say safety, you know what that means. As safe as it can be in the stock market. Because we don't know what's going to happen. But what we do know is we want to stop out all these puts from here to here. We want to stop all these out before we even think about taking that risk. Because it's always going to be a risk. But at least if you have some type of confirmation, right? If you know we built up strength and now this is forming support here, then you have something to go off of. You have some type of structure. And I want you to get comfortable with how it grinded. Look at all the engulfing candles each way, but it just grinded down. This is why we use the rule of sticking to the trend. So that's why the stop for me on this was the purple, because I didn't see the green at the time. And then I did see the green and I could have changed it to green, but I didn't. And it respected the green right here. Perfectly respected that green. So this is why we use our rules. So if it travels up in here, okay. If it gets all the way to the top, okay. Once it breaks, then is when you get stopped out. That's what the rules should be. But, you know, a lot of times we get scared and we're like, I'd rather collect this money than not get any money. And I get that too. Because I do that sometimes. Like I did that with the purple. In real time. I did it in front of everybody. Because we're all human. And we don't want to lose. And we don't want to, you know, have a secure trade in our hand, secure money, have it eat away just because you got greedy. That's what we don't want to do. But if you stick to your rules, you'll see that you have more. There's more to gain. You win more on the opposite side if you stick to these very basic rules. Now, identifying the green, identifying the purple, which I'm actually not a huge fan of the purple, but it worked for its time. It served its purpose. I'm not a huge fan of it. It should probably be this. I think this should be the purple right here. Yeah. Easy money. I can't lose from here because I bought it right here. I can't lose. I can't lose no matter what happens. Easy money. Hey. Woo! Oh my goodness. Come on. Can't lose. Whole bunch of contracts. Whole bunch of contracts right here. Right here at the top. And I'm going to take my money. I don't care. Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Easy. I told you, real quick scalp. Here it is, right here. Come on, man. What more do you want? I told you, quick scalp right here. Load up on the come on. Easy money. Easy money. Oh. I gotta wait for this candle to close before I start moving my stop. Okay. Easy money. Oh my goodness. Look at this. I told you, quick scalp right here. Easy, done. Good. Good money. Good money. I don't even care if it dumps from here. Don't care. I'll wait for the next setup. What does the next setup look like? Probably something like this. Oh man, that was a good trade. I just went heavy on the contracts right here. As soon as I saw this, I knew. And why was I confident with that? Because I knew, number one, I see where the target is, 589.47. I see this target right here, right? Number two, I knew that I wasn't going in on calls until this. That's all. That's how simple it is. And if I need to get back in on this put, I will. But I made, oh my God, I went heavy on the contracts. I got out the very bottom. Oh, that was amazing. That was a good trade. That was a quick scalp. And I even told you right before, if you want a quick scalp, this is what it's going to look like. Right here. Here's the other shoulder. Absolute perfection, done ahead of time. I did this before any of these candles formed. Before any of these candles formed. And look exactly where the resistance was. It was too easy. I don't even care what happens. Because I had my stop at basically zero. But I wasn't gonna allow for a lot of stop on this. I was not going to. Easy money. There it is. Okay, whoever's the scalpers, I gave you a quick scalp. I told you what was going to happen. I told you what I even drew. There's nothing more I can do. There's absolutely nothing. Look at this. Look at, come on. You can't FOMO now. You gotta wait for your entry. We're still inside the green. We haven't left this green. Alright, I'm gonna clean up this chart. Simply amazing. Okay. That was a quick rush. And this is why you can't look at the indicators, because the indicators are telling you it's going to go up. That's what the indicator said. You can't use indicators. They can give you, the indicators will tell you that there's water in the pool, but it won't tell you the temperature. It can't do that. The indicators can only tell you what has already happened. Alright, so if we look at our trading plan, I hope this doesn't mess up the stream. I'm gonna go to the trading plan. $5.90.85. Okay, so if you look at our trading plan, the trading plan says if we form resistance at 590.85, which is right here, if we form resistance right here to buy puts, this is in our trading plan that I put out at before the market opened. I told you if we form resistance, which this is resistance, right? So the top is the resistance, the bottom is support. If we form resistance at 590.85 to buy puts, and look what happened. Come on now. There's nothing more I can do. There's absolutely nothing more I can do. Look at our trading plan. We had this planned out since what time? I put it out at 6:03 or so, 30 minutes, 27 minutes before the market opened. If we form resistance under 590.85, that's where the puts are. Puts if we form resistance under 590.85. This is in our trading plan. Look where the resistance is. We form resistance, meaning we couldn't break back through to the upside. We knew ahead of time exactly what to expect, which is another reason why we can be confident with this initial cup and handle, because it formed resistance right here, which I told you, expect chop right here. Come on, this is too easy. If you didn't make money today, that's because you didn't read the trading plan. Right? That's because you didn't read the trading plan. And look, come on now. If you're letting one or two candles the opposite direction scare you out, then that's something you have to work on. You have to work on that fear, because the market runs off of fear. We know we're in this green. There's no reason, especially after this cup and handle, there's no reason to exit the trade. Well, at the time for me it was purple, so can't win them all. But also, if you took this the little head and shoulder that I made over here, you made good money today. You made good money. And you don't get out of this little head and shoulder until it breaks above the shoulder, right? Your shoulder would have been your exit. Your stop loss is the shoulder. You could have put $0 at risk right here. You could have put on the trade and did, let's say, $2-3 stop. You didn't have to risk anything on this trade. What would it have cost you? If you were wrong, very little risk. But if you're right, look at the reward. Look at the reward. From exactly 589.91, it went all the way down to 589.22. Good money. Good money. So you need to get comfortable or accustomed to, seeing some chop like this. Grinding all the way down. Remember, this morning I said, what did we do yesterday? we grinded all the way up, and it was annoying. You couldn't really trade. There was only, I think, maybe 2 or 3 real setups that were there. At best 3, maybe, I think comfortably 2. And here's another thing you need to take into consideration, right? You have to imagine, where is your best entry for whatever you're trying to do? If you look here, puts at the top, puts at the top, puts at the top, puts at the top, calls on the bottom of green. So once you see this pattern, this cycle, you know, that should give you an idea. Also, so are you thinking, should I do puts on the top here? That's on your risk. I don't know. I don't know what your risk tolerance is. But if it does want to break out, remember, we want to see this, or excuse me, something like this start to form. And then another one up here. This is going to be your safety, 591.05 for calls. This is your safety. If you want to risk it from here to here, that's on you.
I don't need nobody for the day. I just need somebody for the night. Been there and I never been the same. Been there but I'm not the one to blame. I just need somebody for the night. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't need you no more. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't really feel no more. Shawty wanna use me up. I don't really care no more. Shawty wanna use me up. Yeah. Run it over, I'm mobbing.
Okay, I have an appointment in a little bit. So I have an appointment here in a little bit. I got another, I don't know, we'll do 5-10 minutes. And then if I get back on, I'll let you guys know. I might not stream it on the Discord, but I'll be in there giving you the long-term plays and setups and call-outs. I'll give you plenty of time to know what's going to happen. But also, we made so much money today, there's no reason to trade anymore, right? All right, we're breaking this green finally. It's wicking. All right, if you took the break of green, you gotta hold on for dear life. If you took the break of green, you gotta hold on for dear life now. We want to see if continuation. Oh, my bad. Okay, break of green. You're in profit if you took break of green. I'm just going to clean up the chart just a bit. Remember, your safety somewhere up here, right? We want to see this. Something like that on the longer term. Okay, I think I'm going to call it here. I'll probably get back on and do some commentary in a little bit after this appointment. Okay, we had a good day. We had a very excellent day. You couldn't ask for a better day than this. This is a great day. Anyways, YouTube, it's been a pleasure.